Hello friends, welcome to channel. I am Ashish and this video will discuss about the spinal cord. So spinal cord is a part of the central nervous system. As you know, nervous system is divided into two parts, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is itself divided into two. We have brain and then we have the spinal cord. So if somebody asks you define spinal cord, so how are you going to define it? So it is a long cylindrical portion. It is a long cylindrical portion of central nervous system. Portion of central nervous system. So the word CNS stands for central nervous system. As you know, when you draw the diagram of a whole the central nervous system, just a schematic diagram, the brain, midbrain, pons, medulla, and this is the spinal cord here. So it is a long cylindrical portion of the central nervous system that acts as a main pathway for connecting the brain to the peripheral nervous system. As you know, peripheral nervous system includes the spinal nerves, cranial nerves and the autonomic nervous system, whose major part lies in the spinal cord and originates from the spinal cord. Okay, although we have some portion of the peripheral nervous system originating from the brainstem, but a majority of it originates from the spinal cord. So it acts as a connection between the brain part and the peripheral nervous system. So it is a long cylindrical portion of central nervous system and act as pathway or intercommunication channel that connects brain to the peripheral nervous system, PNS. So the PNS is the nothing but the peripheral nervous system consisting of the nerves, nerve fibers, ganglia and other related structures. So we have got an overview of what actually spinal cord is. So if we make a cross section over here, transverse section of the spinal cord, so you will see that the spinal cord appears something like this. So this is in general the diagram of figure of the spinal cord. See, the spinal cord figure or the shape changes from top cervical region to the coccygeal region. So I have drawn just a general diagram of the spinal cord. See the shape of the spinal cord in different section and how the gray matter and the white matter shape actually is. It changes from top to the bottom, that you will see in the other part of the video. So let's concentrate on this diagram first. So if you make a cross section of the spinal cord, in general the spinal cord appears like this in a transverse section. So this orange part, the part enclosed by the orange here, is the gray matter. So the gray matter that is present in the spinal cord appears to be H-shaped. You can see this is the one limb of H, this is the connecting limb and this is the other limb of H. So the gray matter is H-shaped, or sometimes it is referred to as butterfly shaped gray matter that is present in the spinal cord. What happens in the central nervous system? The periphery part is made up of gray matter and center core we have that of the white matter, but it's reverse in the case of the spinal cord. As you can see in the diagram very clearly, we have in the center portion we have H-shaped gray matter, and the surrounding part, these all portions are the white matter. Okay, so this surrounding portion is white matter. So if in the histology part, if you see the spinal cord, then you will clearly distinguish two features that will make you identify that the given slide is of a TS of a spinal cord. That is the one fissure that you see here extending till about the center, and one fissure here. Okay, this is the anterior side. This here is the anterior side and this is the posterior portion. Suppose the spinal cord was lying like this, you made a TS and you're viewing like this. Okay, you made a TS and you're viewing like this. So we have the anterior side, we have the posterior side. So anterior side we have one fissure and the posterior side we have one sulcus, and it is located in the center part. That's why the posterior one is named posterior median sulcus. सो जो आपको लाइन पीछे दिख रही है, जो ऐसे ग्रूव आ रहा है पूरा नियर अबाउट द सेंटर तक, वो क्या है? पोस्टीरियर मीडियन सल्कस. and in the anterior side this is a big fissure. This sulcus means a small part, okay, small portion. That's the crack is not much large, but you can see the here the fissure is very big, so it is called the anterior median fissure. Okay, now we have some other sulcus as well. The central portion that you see here is called the central canal. Okay, this is the central canal. You can also see the other sulcus that are also present. See, we have one more sulcus in the anterior side and two sulcus on posterior side each. So this first let's start with the anterior side. The anterior sulcus here is on both sides is called the anterolateral sulcus. So this is called anterolateral sulcus, and this one is called the posterolateral, located posterior and lateral. That's why it is named the posterolateral sulcus. Posterolateral sulcus. We will be talking about the sulcus later, but let me just tell you few points about the posterolateral and the anterolateral sulcus. What happens, as you know, the spinal nerve is formed by the joining of two rami, that is the ventral ramus and the dorsal ramus of the nerve. So a typical spinal nerve is formed by the joining of two ramus. We have one which ramus, anterior ramus, and one is the posterior or the dorsal ramus. So what happens, from the posterolateral sulcus and the anterolateral sulcus, the ramus originates. So the ramus will originate like this from here, the dorsal ramus, from here the ventral ramus, and they will fuse to form the spinal nerve. So you have to make this point very much clear that from the posterolateral sulcus there is origination of the dorsal ramus of a spinal nerve and or the dorsal rootlet of the spinal nerve, and in the anterior side we have the anterior rootlet. So you can just make one correction, it is called rootlet or root and not the ramus. Ramus is formed later. So from the posterolateral sulcus and anterolateral sulcus there is origination of the root of the spinal nerve, and the two root fuses to form the spinal nerve, and the spinal nerve again divided into two, that is the ventral and dorsal ramus. So let me make very much clear to you. So this, suppose this is a cross section of spinal cord, and this is called posterior horn. I will tell you later. Suppose this is a posterolateral sulcus and this is the anterolateral sulcus. So from here the spinal rootlet arises. This is the dorsal root and this is the ventral root or the anterior root. These two fuses to form the spinal nerve. Okay, this is the spinal nerve. What happens, again this divided into two. The dorsal one is called the dorsal ramus, and anterior side we have the ventral ramus. So posterolateral sulcus and anterolateral sulcus serves as a exit site for the rootlets of the spinal nerve. Now let us concentrate on the other sulcus that was present or other groove that was present on the spinal cord. So this one is called the postero-intermediate sulcus. So keep in mind we have posterior median sulcus, postero-intermediate sulcus and posterolateral sulcus, and in the center we have the S-shaped gray matter. You can see the S-shaped gray matter consists of four arms, this two posterior, two anterior and two lateral side bulge, and they are named different. This one is called the anterior horn. So this is the posterior horn, this is the posterior horn. Here we have the anterior horn, and this side one is called the lateral horn. The posterior horn is concerned with the sensory part. All the sensory nerves or the sensory roots arise from the posterior horn, and all the motor or the afferent arise from the anterior part. Okay, so the anterior is concerned with the motor part and posterior is concerned with the sensory part. That's why a dorsal sensory ganglion is present in the dorsal spinal rootlet. We have got to know about the general external features of the spinal cord and some point about the internal structure of how gray matter and the white matter is actually present in the whole spinal cord. Now you can see the white matter is present in different regions, okay, and is divided by the sulcus into different regions. So the whole white matter outside is divided into different regions by the sulcus and the different parts of the gray matter. This lateral part is called the lateral funiculus. Anterior side we have anterior funiculus and posterior side we have posterior funiculus. So this is the sulcus, that is the posterior lateral sulcus. So this whole part from the posterior median sulcus to posterior lateral sulcus is called the white matter is called the posterior funiculus. You can check out the spelling here, funiculus, okay. Sides, what will be having? The lateral funiculus, lateral funiculus. Between which portion? The posterior lateral sulcus and the anterior lateral sulcus we have the lateral funiculus, and anterior side we have the anterior funiculus. So this was the classification of the white matter of the spinal cord. You may be surprised to know that although the spinal cord is so much important for our day-to-day life work and all the reflexes, including the different works it performs, it weighs only 30 grams. So the weight of the spinal cord is 30 grams. Now let's talk about some general features of the spinal cord. So the weight of the spinal cord is around 30 grams. And what's about its length? See, as I told you, it is cylindrical portion, so length is very important. I will tell you in the later part of the other part of the playlist that why the length of the spinal cord is very important as compared to the length of the vertebral canal. All these things we'll be discussing later. So weight is around 30 gram and length, it differs in males and females. On an average, if you talk about, it's around 18 inch or 45 centimeter in males and 42 centimeter in females. So now on an average it's around 18 inch. So 18 inch is very easy to remember. 18 inch and 18 inch you can relate. So 18 inch or around it's 45 centimeter in males and just 3 centimeter less in females, that's around 42 centimeter. 42 centimeter in females. See, what is the main function of the spinal cord? As you know, the brain consists of this cerebral cortex or the cerebral hemisphere, then we have midbrain, pons, medulla. So it acts as a continuation of the medulla oblongata to the lower part of that spinal cord, which is called the conus medullaris. So okay, the spinal cord is connected. It is connected above to the brain or the other part of the central nervous system. Remaining part is connected to the brain by, or it is continuous to the brain by medulla oblongata, okay, and it's continuous below as conus medullaris, Exact details of the conus medullaris we'll discuss in the next video. So just by the meanwhile, you remember there is a terminal conical portion in the spinal cord which is called the conus medullaris. So it terminates or continues below as the conus medullaris. One more thing to know is that the point to note is that the termination of the spinal cord. So the spinal cord terminates around L1 level, terminates or extend. You can write anything, terminates or extend till L1 level in adults, and till L3 in children. What actually happens? The growth of the spinal cord does not keep in pace with the growth of the vertebral canal. Suppose these are the spinal cord and this is the vertebral canal, okay. Left side we have the spinal cord, right vertebral canal. Earlier, what happens in the early stages of life, they grow simultaneously keeping pace. But what happens? The growth of vertebral canal increases much more than the growth rate of the spinal cord, and the final length of the vertebral canal is more than the final length of the spinal cord. What's the actual importance of this point we'll discussing in the next video. So in this video, this was all about the general features of the spinal cord and what is actually the spinal cord is. I hope you had a good overview. So if you like the video, please hit the like button and do subscribe and share channel.